Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the American Mindgrind. I'm Jeff. I'm here with Jess and Eric. And before we start the show, I want to say thank you to everyone for all the positive feedback we're getting. Thank you for the likes. Thanks for sharing the page and all the comments. We love the comments. We had a lot of them going on throughout last week. So keep them coming. Rather they agree with us or our narrative or not. We love to hear everybody's opinion on everything. So how you guys doing? You guys have a good week? You're back to work? Anybody?
Yeah, I went back to work finally about 2 weeks ago. Finally have customers again. And it's a whole new world for me. And I'm sure for every person that's in the food and beverage industry, certainly. Some of the changes are we have gaming in our bar. So we have partitions, glass partitions that are plexiglass partitions that are in between the machines, keep social distancing. We encourage people who don't quarantine together to stay at least 6 feet apart. Every time somebody gets up from their seat and leaves the building, I have to use a special cleaner to sanitize the entire area that they were sitting and the seat that they were sitting on. And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of work, and it's definitely not, it's more than I thought it would even be. But actually, Gaming Commission, Jeff, is coming out periodically to check on us and make sure that we're encouraging social distancing and that they're making sure that we clean all areas, the common areas, basically. But I want to show you guys a little toy that I got. So here's my mask. So when I'm at work, I'm talking for 8 hours straight in this thing, and my mouth sticks to the mask. But I bought this thing right here, guys, and it's a little purification system, an air purification system. Goes under the mask and sticks together with a magnet, and it's this little guy right here, if you can see it. You turn it on, and it blows fresh air through a HEPA filter into my mouth, keeping my mask dry. So if you're if you work in the healthcare industry, or if you're a teacher, food and beverage industry, this might be very helpful to you. And if you go to easyflowusa.com, you can order one of these for about $100. They're on sale for $99.99, and they'll make you a lot more comfortable. It's definitely worth the investment.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it didn't come standard when you were going back to work. They didn't actually give that to you. You had to buy it on your own.
No, we researched it here at home, and we bought a unit for myself. My wife got one, and my son got one for when he goes back to school. Because when you're wearing the mask 8 hours a day, it's very uncomfortable. I call it a muzzle when I've been at work, So having just that little bit of pressurized air and it's fresh air coming into the mask makes a world of difference. It really does.
You guys know what I got to protect me from the coronavirus?
What's that, Jeff?
Celery. It's on sale. 99 cents.
Where?
Smith.
I actually got some celery today too, but I had to go to Whole Foods. Someone told me to start juicing every morning, celery juice.
Yeah,
that's it.
There you go.
So I'm starting to get on that wagon, but
good for you. Good. Keep the coronavirus out.
Absolutely. But Jeff, you bring up a great point. Make sure that you're getting your fruits and vegetables will probably be a first line of defense, keeping yourself healthy and being, of course, diligent about where you're at.
So at work, every single time somebody comes in, do you have to go outside and wipe down the front door?
Yeah, we use a Lysol spray on the front door periodically. I don't do it every single time, but throughout my shift, yeah. And I wash my hands on the hour just to keep myself safe because I'm handling people's drinks, straws, fruit, whatever, handling money, which is the filthiest material on earth, in my opinion, and touching people's machines and the buttons and the ATM and the jukebox, and there's a million ways. But the workload's definitely gone up quite a bit. I'm working only 3 days a week now, but it feels like I'm working 5,
Yeah. Did you have hazard pay?
No hazard pay or anything like that. it's just more than I even thought it was. I knew wouldn't be the same going forward. And I hope that this is a temporary thing and not the way that we're going to have to do business going long term. That's what I'm most worried about.
I mean, obviously, we're going to see a spike, right? Everybody goes back to work. We're going to see a spike in the hump, and everyone's going to try and freak out about it. But like we've said on the show from day one, we can't hide from this. Eventually, we're going to have to face it, right? Like, if you're breathing, you're going to get coronavirus. And so the numbers I like to see that they don't show us are how many of the people get it and then interview and know they have it. And then how many people are totally fine getting over it and don't even have to go to the doctor or to the hospital versus how many get put on breathalyzers and how many die. And so that's the percentage, the number I always look at. So people are starting to freak out again. This was coming. We knew it was coming, and a lot of people are probably going to get it. But it's not, from what I've seen, it's not half as bad as they wanted us to think it is, getting sick. Like, okay, unless you had a compromising condition to begin with. But still, pardon me for not being scared or afraid of it.
Yeah, I think we all need to be exposed to it. Just from stuff that I've watched, we have to build up our immune systems that way, or else we're not going to get over it, and it will weaken our immune system not being exposed to it. Just everything that I've researched and heard, but it is still scary, and I feel like, Eric, you are taking it very seriously at your work, and I've been out a few times, and it's still a little scary to me, but I feel like not many people are taking it seriously, especially people working, and they don't want to wear the mask, and they don't have it on their face all the way, or they take it down or whatnot. So it is a little alarming that way. But I'm glad that you're taking it serious, because I mean, it's not just about you, it's about the people coming in to see.
Well, you're absolutely right. And it's also, of course, my family. I don't want to get sick at work and bring it home into the house. So we've been really careful. We've been careful from the beginning. We respect it. But like Jeff said, at the end of the day, it might not be something you can avoid. At a certain point, you're going to probably come in contact with it. Yeah. So yeah, it's scary stuff.
Yeah.
Like Monette said when we interviewed her, it was kind of a walk in the park, right? She had felt pretty heavy in her chest after she was over most of the symptoms, but other than that, it wasn't bad. And almost everybody I've talked to said, a day or two of really being sick, but that's it.
Yeah, but Mo never spiked temperature, and from what I understand, about almost 90% of people who actually contract COVID will spike a temperature at one time or another. So she was in the very small minority of infections that did not get a temperature.
You guys,
like you said, Jeff,
you guys do the temperature check?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're back to dance. So when we went to dance last week for our dance class, they definitely checked our temperature. There's been a couple of places that I've gone to that mandated that you had the fever checker right at the door.
Yeah.
Our dentist was another place that we went to. And, I think that's great. I think it's great. And I think it's a great way for companies to feel like they're doing something proactively to keep people safe.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are we at is there more riots going on, or I've kind of lost track? Are they still rioting in cities?
Yeah. The Rashard Brooks case took a very strange turn today. If you saw the video of the shooting, it was in front of a Wendy's in Atlanta, right? You guys all know about this, right? Yeah. So the Atlanta police got a phone call about a driver in the drive-through section of the restaurant who fell asleep. He fell asleep, and then when they got there, he failed a field sobriety test. He was being congenial and being cooperative with the police officers until they tried to cuff him, where he wrestled down two officers, took a taser from one of them, ran away and shot the taser, kind of looking back at the officers as he was running away from them. One of the two officers shot him twice in the back, killed him on the scene. And a lot of people thought it was justified because well, we all know that you need to cooperate when a police officer is making an inquiry. And those officers, the one that did the shooting actually is facing murder charges, Jeff. That just came out today. And the district attorney in Fulton County is requiring or actually asking him and the one other officer who's facing aggravated assault and violation of his oath to actually turn themselves in by tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time.
So did you see the backlash result from the officers in Atlanta?
No, I did not. What happened there?
They walked off.
Is that right?
I did not know that. Very, very few policemen right now there.
Wow. What do you guys think of this? Was this a racial thing? Was this this is not the same as the case in Minneapolis? You know, I don't have the same perspective of that. It was clear it was a personal. We've talked about this. In fact, people have told me that they watch a show and that they heard us actually talking about the existing relationship between the officer and Floyd was his name, right? What was his first name? George Floyd. So they had known each other previous. So this might have been something in their past that was kind of contentious. But this particular case is, I just don't see it being looped, like kind of linked into this whole rioting thing, this whole Black American thing or any of that.
No, I mean, other than, you know, it's another stat. It's one more Black guy killed by the cops. And, you know, it's not going to help. But I think, you know, calm minds always prevail. And people, we always talk about your logic versus your emotion. And everyone's always quick to say, oh, Black man killed by a cop. All the hundreds of white people killed by cops, nobody knows their names. Mexicans, Asian people, it's the Black people that get all upset. And, you know, for they should, you know, I think a lot of times racism is a part of it. And we need to work on that. And I think we're getting there. But in this case, you know, you don't drive drunk. Nobody ever talks about the initial crime. Don't start no crap and there won't be no crap, right? So he's so drunk that he falls asleep in the Wendy's drive-thru. Yeah. So if Black Lives Matter or all lives matter, everybody should want this guy off the street, period. Don't think that I want him dead, but I'd rather him dead than innocent people, a husband and wife and their kids sitting at a stoplight and he falls asleep and rear ends them and kills them and he lives. So there has to be consequences. And from what I understand, this would have been his second DUI. Is that correct? Do you know about that?
Yes. In a short period of time also.
Yeah. He was out on a DUI, right?
Yeah, they had suggested that the officers could diffuse the situation by offering him a ride home. And I said to myself, do you think Mad would enjoy if we gave him a ride home and every person that was accused of DUI a ride home? As just, I just couldn't believe I even heard that. Anyway, his name is Garrett Rolfe. He was the officer who shot Rashard Brooks in the back, who was 27 years old. He's facing felony murder charges. He's facing 4 counts of aggravated assault, damage to property, and 4 charges of violating his oath. Devin Bronson, who is facing aggravated assault and violating his oath as well. He was the one that stood on Rashard Brooks's body once the shooting happened. And then the officer Rolfe also kicked the dead body, basically. That was the accounting of it. It's a pretty ugly situation for sure. But when you're caught in a situation like that, if you're white or Black, and if you wrestle cops to the ground and grab their taser or reach for their weapon, you can only imagine that this is the only outcome that's going to happen. So I'm not particularly thinking that this has anything to do with white or Black. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think if this was a white person, would the same sequence of events happen? What do you guys think of that?
Sequence of events as in?
The shooting. Would it have happened if it was if the person was white, fell asleep at the Wendy's drive-thru, was field sobriety, failed the field sobriety, he wrestles cops to the ground, grabs their taser, runs away? Would this person have been killed the same?
I mean, that's always hard to say, but I think any time that a police officer is put in danger of their own lives, especially if someone's grabbing their weapon, if it's a taser or not, then I feel like it's a little more justifiable because they're trying to, you know, live themselves. So they're just doing their job that way. I don't think, you know, shooting him in the back if he's running away, okay, no. But if you do grab someone's weapon or, you know, whatever, then that is scary. And I know that is, once again, it's like a justifiable thing. It might be on the borderline for some people. I really don't know. But I don't think, you know, he's a person either way. Doesn't matter your race. So if I was put in that situation, of course, I'm going to defend myself for my life. You know, if someone's going to try and tase me or, you know, trying to run away, especially after they've done something wrong. Do I think they should have stood on the body and done all that? No, of course, that's extremely wrong and disrespectful. But I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, 100%. I think no matter what, if you grab a weapon from an officer, you're declaring war on them. In other words, you're letting them know one of us is going to survive this and one of us is going to die. So the officer is going to do everything to survive. You know, they're put through these camps and these simulators, and they say you have the blink of an eye to decide whether to pull the trigger or not before you're dead. So let's say he tases the guy. Everyone's like, oh, you can't shoot him in the back. Well, let's say he turns around and they tase the cop and the cop falls, and then he turns around and he runs back to the cop and grabs his gun and shoots him. That cop is going to wish that he would have pulled the trigger because now he's dead and the other guy lived. So when you declare war on an officer, like Eric said, you can only expect the worst, you know, and if they don't get you now and you do get away, they're going to get you. You know, choice and consequences, we talk about all the time. So Jessica's right. The cops were real stupid to celebrate their victory and stand over him like they had just scored a touchdown. That's stupid. And they should probably be, you know, punished for that, if nothing else. The death penalty, I don't think that will go through. And, you know, if they sit outside the courthouse and they riot again because the cops get off, I got news for you. These cops will probably get off. And, you know, another choice of consequences. You want to defund the police. You want to blame all the police for a couple of bad apples and get rid of the cops. Okay, let's watch what happens. You know, the people who call the cops the most are the people on the inner cities, the poor people. And they're the ones that seem to be crying the most to get rid of cops. I don't think you want those consequences. They're going to be very unfair, very harsh. I predict we will see carnage in the streets like never before.
Yep. The whole thing is about, were they under immediate danger? It's hard to say, right? It's hard to put yourself in their shoes. Adrenaline's running real high. And, you know, you have to kind of work it instinctively, like you said, Jeff. And it's either him or me type of thing. So that's a tough case. And I think that's why we wanted to bring it to everyone's attention today, is because it's something that it's a borderline case, and we'll see how it plays out. But I suspect you're right, Jeff. I think he'll probably get involuntary manslaughter. He'll probably plead down. Maybe even he'll get very little time or no time at all, I don't think, in the line of duty. And like you said, maybe it's just a penalty for what they did after the fact, you know, when things were done.
Young men and women out there watching, don't get drunk. I call it sick brain, man. Alcohol is poison. Makes you do stupid things. You don't get to, you say stupid things, you do stupid things, you don't get to push rewind and take it back. Sometimes the consequences are very unfair, and they include death or killing other people. Like I said, can you imagine if he just fell asleep and killed a young family that was doing nothing but going to Wal Mart? And this, I mean, it's crazy. We always, in this country, no country ever do we glorify criminals as much as we do in this country. And there's such a double standard and a double negative, and it drives me nuts. And yeah, we need due process. And when the cops do racist things or they do stupid things like with George Floyd, it needs to be handled and it needs to be talked about. But, you know, throwing bricks through windows, I don't think is going to do much good.
No.
Agreed.
So speaking of going to Walmart, there's a a wage war between Walmart and Target now?
I believe so. Target started a 3-year initiative in 2017 to raise all hourly employees to $15 an hour by the end of 2020. They were excited to come out with the release today that they're going to start that pay raise starting July the 5th of this year. And they're going to shoulder another $1 billion in labor costs as a result of it. But they were committed to this program, and they were excited by the fact that they were able to announce this far before the end of the 2020 year, even though we have the pandemic going on. So kudos to them, but this brings up a big thing, right? $15 an hour. We talked about this 5 years ago when Bernie Sanders was running for president. He called it a living wage. Is it really a living wage? What's your guys' thoughts on that? $15 an hour, 40 hours a week is $600 a week. Then Uncle Sam's got to get something, right? So you figure in best case scenario, you're bringing home $2,000 a month, $500 a week.
I mean, I think it's really great that Target's doing that. I actually worked at Target at one point, and I think I was making like 9 something.
Yeah.
Back in the day, of course, probably 15 years ago or something.
As what, a checker?
What's that?
Were you a checker?
No, I worked in guest services.
Wow.
Yeah, doing like returns. It was a fun job. I'm not gonna lie. I left there for another job, but I think it's great. I think kudos to them, like for sure. Great for all the people. I do like Target. It is one of my guilty pleasures is shopping at Target.
Yeah, we do too.
But I mean, it's great for people that are working there and, making minimum wage or making just a little above minimum wage. I think it's a good alternative for people. I think it's great.
Just so you guys know, I don't know, a lot of people out there might not realize how big Target really is nationally. They have 1,900 stores, guys, nationally. And hourly employees, they have 275,000 hourly employees and 350,000 total employees. So this affects a lot of people out there. 250,000 people work for the company on an hourly basis. So, but then, like I said, $15 an hour. It's a living wage, certainly. If you were here in Las Vegas, you would have to probably live in a roommate scenario, right? You're not going to be able to get an apartment for $800 for 1 bedroom on $2,000 a month, have a vehicle, have rent, have car payment, insurance, a phone, internet, at least at home. And when you do all these deductions, which I did today, it leaves you with absolutely nothing once you do food and clothing and discretionary entertainment. There's nothing left over.
And an emergency comes up, like you need brakes or tires on your car, and then forget about it.
It's a great point. And Jeff, that was my whole thing. I wanted to let you know that maybe peer-to-peer marketing, maybe starting a new business, maybe switching your mode of thinking during this time to figure out another avenue of income other than $15 an hour. Because if you work at $15 an hour, you're going to work your entire life and never have an opportunity to have an early retirement or anything in savings. And that was part of the problem when the pandemic started, is that 50% of America didn't have access to $400 and 70% didn't have access to $1,000. Quiet. Sorry, guys.
Right on the set over there.
Yeah, sorry. This isn't a pro deal, you know what I mean? We don't have we're not doing it out of the studio like we used to.
We will be soon.
Yes, we will be soon.
Bring those masks.
Getting together with you guys and
You bring the masks, I'll bring the celery, and we'll do it.
We'll do kale smoothies and everything, Jeff.
Be awesome. So, want me to take the other side on it?
Of course, you always do. You're doing that for 20 years.
So, I think it's a publicity stunt. I don't think $15 is going to do anything. Are they publicly traded?
Yeah, oh yeah, Target, of course.
So,
yeah,
the investors aren't going to like that. Their stock is going to struggle because of it.
Potentially,
secretly, they're probably getting ready to release half of their employees because they're going to put in the self-checkout, but it makes them look good. Meanwhile, like, look at us right in the middle of all this. We're going to raise the minimum wage. And, I think I saw that Walmart just ordered like millions of self-checkout. I'll bet you Target does the same thing. I could be wrong, but I also think that raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, you know, during the spike of all of these jobs we had available that Trump brought, best jobs ever, and the young kids were having a hard time finding jobs. And it goes back to what you just said, is most people don't have any money in savings. Older people our age, are working these jobs. Like Jessica worked there when she was young, but she has no desire, I don't think, to go back, right? And work for even 15 an hour. No.
Nope. No
But
way.
people our age they're taking those jobs. And I think by paying $15 an hour, you're going to encourage more people with the lower middle class to take those jobs, older people, and the young kids that should be learning like Jessica did, that that's not something they want to do the rest of their life. These jobs that are under 15 an hour should be for those kids. And so now I just think that the whole thing is, you know, and it always trickles down. The pain will always trickle down. If they force you to pay $15 an hour, and I've got a small business, certainly Target's not a small business, but if they did raise that as a standard, and I have to pay $15 an hour to my 10 employees, well, am I going to sell my house and my boat and my car? Or am I going to fire 3 or 4 of those employees and put a bigger workload on my other employees so that I don't have to change my life? So the trickle down effect, it's like the mask. It makes people think you're doing something. You're really not. The $15 an hour makes you think you're doing something. You're really not. So to me, if you're going to do a wage increase and brag about it, it better be $22 an hour or north of that. And Eric said it. You know, Robert Kiyosaki said, you know, if you're not doing something business-wise these days, you're getting left behind. There's no other way to be financially free. His book, The Business of the 21st Century, says that you should absolutely 100% be involved in some kind of network marketing.
Okay. It's a great perspective, Jeff. Just to give you guys a little background, Walmart is the hourly employees only get $11 an hour, but the ones that are school-age associates, they pay $1 out of their payroll per day, so $365 a year, and they have a cooperative education opportunity for supply chain management or business management with the University of Florida as a perk for their younger employee associates to take classes and to get their degrees.
Wow.
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, pardon me if my math is wrong. That doesn't even make a dent in an education, right?
That's
like
one maybe. That's not even one class. That maybe pays for books.
Well, I got pencils and paper. Let's go.
No, they work with the University of Florida to subsidize the payment. So Walmart, the associate only pays the $1 a day that want to enroll and get their degree. That's it. Walmart pays the rest, whatever discount that they probably got on thousands of students to, through the University of Florida. Tallahassee is the campus that they're working with right now. You might see this model. Starbucks also does this type of model, and Chipotle Grill also offers their associates a subsidized education opportunity for those that want to pursue their
Starbucks does benefits, right?
Oh, Starbucks has, they've always been known for great benefits. People that are retired, Jeff, that don't have benefits, they usually work part-time for Starbucks to get their families taken care of in regards to their health, the health coverage.
Healthcare. Yeah, I think I was talking about this last time. One of my friends went to work just to get the health care.
Yeah.
And you only have to work 20 hours a week to get the health coverage, which is great. But I think that should be another topic for another discussion, because of our healthcare system is so messed up. People paying $400 or $500 a month and having a $7,000 deductible and stuff like that. I was talking to someone this morning about that, and people having to pick up jobs like that just so they can afford health insurance. But that'll be another topic for another time.
We'll talk about the group health plan that I offer businesses. It makes it very affordable. But you're right. I go into businesses and I say, what are you paying for, especially when it's age banded, right? So if like Eric's saying, so if people go back to work just to take advantage of the benefits, that makes us all have to pay more money because old people pay so much more in benefits. And it's age discrimination, but they cover it up. So if you're paying $850 a month, like Jess said, and then a $7,000 deductible, you're not really ever going to use it unless you get hit by a truck. So it's just a scam.
Might as well just pay cash and
Yep.
get a deal
Save
out of
up.
that.
Health savings account. Do they offer, Jess, do they offer benefits at Target?
They did. It was so long ago. I remember even getting a discount on phone, cell services, stuff like that. And I'm not going to lie, it was a great company to work for. But obviously it was great for me being so young, 17, 18 years old. And, obviously I wouldn't go back, but that was a good job for teens and stuff like that. And every time I go into Target, I do see mostly young people working there.
Yes.
Good. So is it Target or Target?
Oh, it's Target.
It's Target.
Target.
So is it Aunt Jemima or Aunt Jemima?
Oh.
Is it Hey Reb or Hey Rob?
Say goodbye to Hey Reb.
To everything ever racially, even kind of sort of on the borderline of anything. Just say goodbye to all of them. It doesn't matter.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
My alma mater is the UNLV Running Rebels, and Hey Reb is our mascot. It looks like they're going to chop Hey Reb, and they're going to have to come up with a whole new marketing scheme for the sports department. It's unbelievable, guys. Aunt Jemima going to have to pull it off the shelves. Things like that.
Uncle Ben's rice.
Uncle Ben's.
Offensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it offensive?
I don't know. My friends that are black, they don't think at all. It's never once crossed their mind to be offended because the picture of the person on the box is black. They're not offended. But we live in a different part of the country. I think people down south and people in other parts of the country see it a lot different than we do. Who knows?
Bubba Wallace of NASCAR petitioned NASCAR to get rid of the Confederate flag at all their races. Yeah. NASCAR actually accommodated that request, and there was obviously a lot of backlash from a lot of different people from a lot of different parts of our country that had issues with that. But that was a major story last week, and as a result of that petition, they no longer will display the Confederate flag at any of their races or any of their NASCAR events.
Well, that should do it, right? That should solve all the problems of the country.
I think we're far from that.
It's all better now.
Yeah, right.
No more Uncle Ben's, no more Aunt Jemima, and no more flags, and no more Hey Reb, and we should be able to live in peace now. Thank God.
What about like Cracker Barrel? Or
that's
Jacks.
You can't call a white person a cracker.
Cracker Jacks.
Yeah.
Right? There's a white person on the box, that's offensive to me.
Jess, I never thought to be offended.
Jacks.
I never thought to be offended about that until right now. I think we should go now, stop the show, and go burn the place down.
What, the manufacturing plant at Cracker Jack?
Yeah, burn it.
All right, guys, let's mobilize, yo.
I need to feel better. That'll do it.
Oh my goodness. I did see a meme the other day that said, how do you get something that you want? And the other person answered by telling them I'm offended.
That's it.
I'm like, gosh, people are so offended these days at the littlest things that have been around for hundreds of years. Yeah. Like over 100 years, you know?
I said it before when people ask me what's going on with all the riots, and oh my gosh, can you believe they're taking down statues, part of the history? It's not going to change anything. I said, well, what do you think happened? They turned 20. These are the kids that we gave participation trophies to, remember? You don't have to earn anything. It's all just given to you. They eat Tide Pods. They shove stuff up their toilet so they can get high. They got all kinds of they got all kinds of weirdness going on, right? And, they cry and scream and you give them what they want. They're so easily offended. They have cry closets when the person they voted for didn't get elected. Well, they're 20 years old now. So what do you think was going to happen? This is exactly what I've been saying is going to happen when you don't teach your kids choice and consequences and how to overcome adversity. These right now, what's going on are huge opportunities for parents to sit with their kids and teach them and let them learn from the chaos and the people that are nuts, and make them use this, force them to think. And unfortunately, most people don't get it. They're out there smashing windows themselves and tearing down statues and posting on Facebook, and it's just silly to me. If I had a kid, it would be a different story than what I'm seeing out there. That's for sure.
Speaking of that, Jeff, I just want to take just a second to say Happy Father's Day to all fathers out there, to John Trailer, to my dad. Happy Father's Day, and thank you for all the things that you do for your family or for your children and all that stuff. It's a special day to me. Always has been. It's my favorite time of year. Also, typically it would also signify that it's the end of the school year and that we're getting ready for our summer events, which doesn't look like Alaska's in the cards for us this year, guys. They're mandating that you do a COVID test 3 days before your flight, and if you don't do the COVID test, you would have to self-quarantine when you get to Alaska for up to a week to be able to travel into their state. And looks like we're going to just do the RV thing and stay socially distant this summer. We're going to take the RV out for about 10 days, starting in a couple of weeks, and we look forward to traveling that way this year anyway.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know someone else that went to Hawaii, and
Yep.
as soon as they get there, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yes.
So it's crazy. I mean, I get the measures they're taking, but
Hawaii's a
we're all
fun
gonna have
one.
to face it.
Hawaii, not only do you have to do the 14 days, but when you check into a hotel, they give you a one-time use lock card for your room. So you're like, your sweep card for your hotel room, it only works one time, one in, and that's it. And it locks you out. So they're being very careful with people that are traveling in. I just don't understand how that's practical.
How could
So for
you
2
go
weeks,
out, though? Yeah, and like
You
walk on
don't.
the beach.
you don't. You can only watch the beach from your window of your hotel room. You have to order all your food in. Everything that you eat will have to be ordered in. It's just, it's way over the top, I think. Way over the top for sure.
Yeah, that's
And if you sneeze, they tie you to a brick and throw you in the ocean.
No, they actually throw you in jail. Believe it or not, they actually are putting people in jail for violating these orders. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's just so crazy.
Meanwhile, you can go out and riot all you want, right? The coronavirus doesn't care about it if you're rioting. They encourage that. The same people who want to throw you in jail for running your business are the exact same people that don't care about the riots. They're like, oh, let them go. Like the governors of these democratic states is like ridiculous. Again, the double standard just drives me crazy. And it's both sides. I understand that. But what we're seeing now is the Democratic side really, really showing some true colors that, if I were Democrat, I wouldn't be too proud of. It's not your grandpa's Democrat, that's for sure.
definitely
Not Jimmy Carter.
No, Jimmy Carter.
No
No,
peanuts.
I think probably, I don't know. We won't even go in there. Never mind. I was going to say the last Democrat that really cared about the country is probably Kennedy, but that's going to upset everybody. Go ahead, comment below. We welcome it. Anyways, so what else? Anything else? Should we wrap it up?
Sure.
All right. Well, good seeing you guys. And thanks again, everybody. Please like the page. It helps us out a lot, helps us keep it going, keep the comments going. We love it. And, share it. Share it on your Facebook so other people can either enjoy it or hate it with you. Thanks.
Happy
Guys.
Father's Day, guys.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
Father's Day.
Good seeing you.